see, efficiency in farms has dropped the emissions on farm. So I'm focused in on the 10% of the processing. This slide's just showing you our breakdown, and you can see that electricity is a fairly small section of it, and the majority of it is thermal. And that's mainly because of power plants. We're taking milk in at 12 to 13% solids, and we're taking it all the way up to 92% solids. So we've got to evaporate all that water off. And the other one, we'll just go to the next one. This is showing the location of our sites throughout New Zealand, so we're really well geographically diverse. But the problem we have in the South Island, if you look at the colour of the dots, blue, we only have coal for use in the South Island. So the South Island is a bit of a problem for us, because what are we going to fuel our plants? The amount of megawatts of thermal capacity boilers that we have is over 600 megawatts in the South Island. The processing emissions intensity has been reducing as we build the likes of Darfield, the mozzarella plant at Clandyboy. These new plants bring efficiency. They're built with larger, therefore your fixed energy use is lower, it's spread across more tonnes. But unfortunately, we don't, hand in hand with that, we haven't shut down all the sites. So when Darfield was built, we shut down Plains, which was a little plant that burned LFO. We generated a fairly good emissions intensity reduction in actually doing that, and energy intensity reduction, just because of the energy intensity of Plains site versus the drier one at Darfield. So the majority of that is just coming about by adding more efficient processes. And then since 2003, we've reduced the energy intensity by 16% by doing a lot of energy efficiency projects. So that's like back in the 1990s, if you built a plant, the temperature approach on a plate heat exchanger pack would be 10 degrees. Now when you build a new plant like Darfield, it'll be 3 degrees. And all that is just more surface area. So we go in and we try and find those areas where we can, very for low capital, improve the plant, bring it up to the current technology. We've done a lot of work around our boilers. We have lifted the bar in terms of boiler tuning. We've introduced a lot of more advanced controls on our coal boilers. And we even have at Darfield, we're now instigating closed loop carbon monoxide control on the boiler. So that's a step above having oxygen closed loop control, controlling the firing curves of your boiler. So when you're looking at renewable energy for thermal, it comes down to it's a balance between capital costs and fuel. As an example of, if I need steam or I need hot water, what can I go to? I can use natural gas, very cheap capital cost, but expensive fuel. I can go to coal, a bit more expensive capital cost, but now your fuel cost is coming down. Or wood, very expensive capital cost, and hopefully your fuel is lower cost. Over the side, you can see a bit of an indication of, as it gets more difficult to burn, the capital cost tends to go up as well. So we're talk capital costs, now let's talk fuel cost. Wood is attractive because it hasn't gone anywhere. So this is all the way back to 1994. The forest is in the room if there's any, won't like that. But the lumber and people looking at it certainly do like it. So you can see on the left-hand side is the cost for pulp logs. So we typically use, when we're doing a business case, you need a price of what you feel worst case is going to be. And that is typically going to be, I'm going to have to buy a pulp log. If I can't get a residual out of the forest at low cost, I'm going to have to go and buy a pulp log off a forester. So we always use the pulp log as our top price in our business cases. And you can see it dropped down, but it's come back up again. It tends to just move around in that range. And on the far side is just what that would be equivalent in dollars per gigajoule. Okay. It's a little bit more expensive in the North Island, it's cheaper in South Island, it's more expensive if you're near Rangiora because you're close to the MDF plant. You think, well, why isn't Litchfield right near the Tokoroa, which is where all the forestry is? It's actually the worst place to try and put a biomass boiler because the Cardboard Harvey, or Skoo, OJ, they can all suck in it with a hell of a lot cheaper at larger volumes to tie everything up. When you're looking at the different wood chip types, Lloyd's already showed you this, so you can go expensive wood, but your capital costs can come down. Over here would be wood pellets, so a wood pellet boiler is significantly lower capital cost than a wood chip boiler. This is seasoned all the way through to a hogged material wet. So you do have to know the fuel that you're going to burn at the front end. You can't buy a pellet boiler and then expect to put hog through it, or dry seasoned chip, expect to put hog through it. So it's the key thing. For us, we'll look at the far side and say, right, we'll put in a purpose-built boiler for wet hog material so that we can get the lowest operating cost possible. These aren't our prices. This is COVAC report 2013 by Mindy, trying to predict what we do pay for coal. A lot of people constantly say, why are you not putting in biomass boilers? And it just comes down to, so this is without ETS in there, emissions trading scheme, so they're figuring out that we're about $6, $7 a gigajoule, put the ETS on top of that. Now it starts looking attractive, but without the ETS on there, helps explain why there's not a lot of biomass boilers going in Fonterra sites. We just can't pay for that extra capital. When you're looking at a Darfield, coal boiler was this much. If you wanted to burn wood, it's going to be a whole lot extra, and there just wasn't the difference in fuel prices to actually pay that off. We're not a charity. You have to provide, deliver value to the farmer. Next thing that comes in is in terms of your fuel price. So your price is built on quality of it, and it's also built on how far transportation of biomass, especially wet biomass, becomes a big deal. We even have that issue with lignite at 41% moisture, 14 gigajoules per tonne. You're not going to transport the lignite very far. That's why Candy Boy doesn't run on New Vale lignite, but it does run on Takatimu coal. The rule of thumb is pretty much 100 kilometres for wood. I ran some numbers for the Stoneholm project. We can eke that out to about 150 kilometres before you're spending so much on your transportation that you're exceeding the value, the energy content of the wood that's in there. Okay. Security of supply, why is it critical to Fonterra? This is what we call the milk curve, and what happens is the cows calve and start producing milk to the calves. And we hit the peak around October, and at the peak, we are about 89 million litres a day of milk is coming towards the plant. It comes in the morning and in the evening. So 45 million in the morning, 45 million in the evening. And you can't hold it, because in another 12 hours, another 45 million is coming towards you. So the plants must run. So when we look at biomass, it's really about current applicable technology. What is the risk that we're introducing to the organisation? So when we build coal boiler, so when we built Darfield, we said to RCR, Edendale, the new boiler that you built down there, it's working great, that's what we want. Because if we introduce any changes, those changes introduce risk of operation. And if that boiler goes down, we're not producing, which then means that that milk has to go somewhere. And before we built Pahiatua and Litchfield, so 2014, we effectively had a fair amount of milk just moving between islands because we just didn't have enough processing capacity. So it has to, and it can't be dumped on farm. That's illegal because the farmers don't have resource consent for disposal of milk, and we can't dump it because our effluent treatment systems aren't designed to handle raw milk. So, if we were to change all of the South Island plants to biomass, what does that look like? We have 1.8 million hectares of pine forest, exotic forest, pine, Douglas fir, eucalyptus, minor species, non-native forest in New Zealand. Majority of that is up in Kaingaroa forest, the rest is spread throughout. So if we were to fuel all of our boilers in the South Island and take everything in the forest, so no lumber, no pulp logs exported, that forest, we're just going to burn it. We would need 57,000 hectares. And if you come back to where we are, that's not 57,000 in one area, that would be little forests associated with the areas, Takaka, Brightwater, down Darfield, Clantyboy, Studholme, Stirling and Edendale. So that's a good thing, coming back to the geographic, is we spread out, it doesn't have to be in one spot. But you can't just burn a whole forest. When you look at the economics of a forest, growing it, harvesting, the forest generates economics from selling the lumber logs at over $100 a cube. We have our own forests in Fonterra, and they're on old coal mines that we had, we planted, and so the ones up in the north of Waikato, it's actually not economical for us to actually harvest the pulp log and send it to Tokoroa. We actually lose $5 a cube harvesting that pulp log, putting it on a truck and selling it to Tokoroa. So it's just not economical to grow a forest just to burn it. So it's always going to have to be this 20% vision of that. You grow a forest to generate lumber, which is what I would rather see, than export whole logs, because that drives jobs, drives value add in New Zealand. But anyway, a lumber log has to leave, and it has to leave for a value of around $100 a cube. And then now the pulp log you can go after, and you can pay the $50, $40, $6 to $7 a gigajoule. So if you're harvesting just 20%, you need 286,000 hectares. The amount of forest area goes up significantly. Again, this is just for our borders in the South Island, Fonterra borders. If you're looking at Edendale, here's your 100-kilometre radius. Flying in, there's a lot of land that you see forests on. Potentially they could put more forests in those hills. So it's a long game. If you want conversion now, the forest had to have been planted 20 years ago. So when we're talking to the government, we're saying, how can you start driving reforestation so that there will be biomass available for people to use? There's a lot of work on stump to pump, which was turning forests into diesel or petrol, but an easy one to do right now is the industrial heat, switch it across, but we need the wood to be coming through. It's a long game. On the far side, this is all from math forest models that they have. You can actually see that this is for Edendale. We need 400,000 cubes per year to actually run Edendale, and we don't have enough until about 2024. So the bottom of the line, this is all the pulp log, residual. Next log up is your lumber log. So we would have to take all of the lumber log, everything, to fuel Edendale. 2024, the age of the forest, this is all just based on when that forest was planted, when it needs to be harvested. And you can see the concern. Are you going to build a boiler that's going to be there for the next 40, 50 years running on wood? If you see the other side of the curve, you go, oh, what's going to happen when all of those forests age out? So it is for little plants, not so much of a problem. For big plants, you do have to understand what's going on in the forests and what's driving their economics. Are they going to replant? Are they going to convert to dairy? Security of supply. A lot of people talk about that wood isn't as secure as coal. These are the sort of things that keep me awake. Mine collapse. So that's the overburden. Haven't removed enough of it. Haven't put benching in. Collapses in. Equipment failure. Transportation stoppages. Effectively the same thing for wood. Forest fires. It's like an overburden collapse. Equipment failure. You just build storage. All mines have on-pad storage. You have enough storage at the site. We're a food processor. We can't have big piles of wood, so we've got to have 6 to 12 hours to 24 hours at most contained, so there's no bugs, no vermin coming to site. But then if the truck bringing the material to site is going to break down, we need a storage at their place. If the chipper hog is going to break down, we need enough storage ahead of that. It all adds in. But effectively there's no supply chain in this. You just deal with added storage. Okay, now into Desmond's area. There's a grate fire. This is what we have currently. Taupac RCR boiler. We have this is a rotating grate. This is a vibrating grate. Fuel comes in. European design wood boiler. You can see the arch there at the top of the stepped grate. This is one of the good benefits. To talk about the arch. The angle of the arch is tighter than the grate, so that means I've been to the Renewable dairy factory that we went to, and I saw chunks of snow going into that damn boiler. And I thought the fire, when I opened the door, was going to fall out onto me, because it just takes so much drying to melt all that snow in there. But because the arch comes down closer and closer, by the last step in the grate, it's all burnt out completely. And then we've got bubbling fluidized bed boilers over to the far side. And when you start wanting to co-fire coal and wood at large levels, you have to start worrying about, you have to start going towards the bubbling fluidized bed or circulating fluidized bed boiler styles. We're getting squeezed on our SO2 consents. So that means we have to start thinking of a sulfur desulfurization. So that means you've got limestone in the bed, and it takes out the sulfur. So it's a hell of a lot more expensive equipment compared to a coal boiler. Okay, so again, circling back around, why are we looking at it? It's realistic. It's not going to be easy, but we have to do it. There's no ands, ifs or buts. We have You know, if you look at our boiler fleet, nearly every boiler is onto their third or fourth coal mine. You know? So people go, oh, build coal boiler, 40, 50 years, because boilers don't age out. You know, you just keep on maintaining them, they'll keep on running. But the mines keep on running out. And you start, you know, having to ship coal from further and further far, it gets more expensive. So, you know, be it source of coal, CO2 emissions, this is just what we have to do. We have to figure out how to do it. And for the Stud Home site, the commitment has been made that it will be a biomass coal capable boiler. But then you come down to the problem, we look at how much wood is in the Waimate area, South Canterbury area, and we only kind of come up with, because we've got to, it's like you can go, there's a coal mine, it's got that much coal in it, it's going to last that long. So we have to do the same. If we're going to spend extra money on the boiler, we have to say, there's the forest, this is when it's going to be harvested, how it's going to be harvested, that. So when we do that, we get 15 megawatts, 20 megawatts, so about 50 to 60, 75,000 tonnes a year of biomass that we could access. Now I know it's kind of like build it and it will come, because I see all of the farmers have little woodlots around. You know, and there isn't a marketplace for them, formal marketplace right now. So like in Europe, it's a little bit of a leap of faith. You know, maybe you build it for 20 megawatts and you pick up 5 megawatts of biomass that comes out of the forest from farms.